AI is about to change your world, but everyone's telling you what to be fearful of and what to be scared of. Today, I sat down with Piers Linney, an ex-dragon, a multimillionaire, and someone's business I just invested in because he knows so much about AI, he can make sure you don't get disrupted. And instead of giving you a basic list of AI tools, we're giving you practical advice on how to make AI work for you so you can build a one-person business that runs itself. Let's go. Right, what's the first thing we need to learn?
So starting with AI, the first thing people forget, right, is that you've got access to all human knowledge. And also, the more you use them, the more it learns about you. So ideas, right? Getting started, it's about, validating ideas, essentially. So you don't have all the answers, but now you can use AI to understand everything it can about you, give it context. Right? People forget this. Don't just give it one line. Give as much context as you can about you, your background, your expertise, your education, what your likes are, your dislikes, what your dream is, what interests you, what doesn't, what are your strengths and weaknesses. Give it everything. And then ask it, okay, based on this, here are my ideas, but what other ideas could there be that I should be focused on? And then when you've got a list of ideas, you've kind of whittled it down, okay? Start validating them. Ask, okay, well, based on this idea, how would I execute? What's the first step? What's the competition look like? If you're using AI, you can use any AI. You can use OpenAI, ChatGPT, Google, Gemini, Anthropic, whatever works for you, Perplexity, but use them and start then doing the research. You've got access to basically a room of PhDs you can send off using deep research. That's what it's called, to do the research for you.
I'm just thinking about the audience listening to this. My instant fear for the audience when I hear you explain this is they'd be scared to give away all their information. So I've got an app called What's Your Dream? People can download it on the App Store, Android Store, and you can go and ask it, to figure out the dream with you. But we've noticed that people are scared to put their information in there. What do you think about that side of it?
So people need to understand, okay, there's a fear of where does the information go, okay? Think of the model as an intelligence, a brain, essentially. And your context, your information, your ideas, the research you wanted to do, it's using that intelligence to deliver the results you want, okay? Your idea isn't going to be sucked into this model and then disseminated to humanity. It's still private, in a way. Now, you've got to be slightly careful. It's not a lawyer. It's not someone like a doctor, but you shouldn't be worried about that, right? This is having access to an infinitely patient, all-knowing sidekick, mentor, business partner, co-founder, right? And you've never had this before. Most people, because of these fears or not learning to use it properly, aren't using it properly. And if you do, you're already ahead of the game.
Give it information that's going to help it understand you as a unique human being and how the ideas and things that it could help you make money from are related directly to you. So if you do like fishing, tell it. If you do not like crypto, tell it. And make sure that the machine understands all the data points.
And give it more than you probably think you need to.
Right. Over-explain. Over-explain. Okay, great. All right. So what next do people need to know?
So the next one then is, so you've got your idea, you've validated it, or you've validated maybe several ideas because you haven't quite whittled down which one to do yet. So the next one really is strategy and start making decisions. So by that, I mean, if you've got your list of ideas, you've got your dream, and also you might have one dream, but there might be different ways of going at it. So you start to whittle down the strategy and decisions about how do you start moving it forwards. And that includes things like, what are the difficult questions, okay? What are the risks? What assets do I need? How much finance do I need? How many people do I need? And people can't do this because most people have not grown up. I was a banker and a lawyer and an accountant, went to university, all this kind of nonsense. You don't need to do that anymore. You can now have literally, and this is why management consultants, as you all know, are struggling. McKinsey's of the world, okay? They're kind of going away because now you have a McKinsey literally in your pocket.
And the decision side, quickly before we move on, explain a little bit more about the decisions. What do you mean by that?
So a lot of people, when you're trying to start a business, okay, it's decision paralysis almost, that you think, sometimes you don't know how to make a decision, because to make a decision, you've got to be able to take in information and then analyze it. And based on that process is then pick the best route. It's never going to be perfect. Any decision, I always say to my children, is better than indecision. But most people struggle to make decisions. So even now, you can spin up a couple of AIs and say, look, here's one customer type and here are 3 different customer types, like so personas almost, and say, based on my coffee brand in your case, for this persona, what should it look like? What should the plan be? How would I reach them? What would the branding look like? So now you can almost, people call it A/B testing. You can now A to Z test everything. And what that allows you to do then is make a decision. If you can't make a decision, ask the AI to start making decisions for you, to be quite frank. Because if it knows you and you've been honest and you've explained and given all this context, it will help you make decisions.
I think making decisions in life in general, people don't actually know. They get, like you say, too many options. That's another way of putting it. They have too many choices and they don't go and dedicate themselves to one thing.
Or you haven't got the confidence that you know enough to make a decision.
Right.
Well, now you don't have that problem. In business, often, as you know, it's the path of least resistance, isn't it? What this allows you to do is find the path of least resistance based on the access, the assets, the guidance you've got.
I love it. Okay. So people have come up with an idea. They've got a strategy. They're ready to make decisions based on that data. Then what?
So this is where your favourite subject. You start to think about, content and marketing. And by content, I do that in its broadest form. Everything from your collateral to your brand, actually. And then how do you, once you've got an idea, you've got a plan, you've got a strategy, how do you, let's call this go to market, really. How do you take this product to market? And that's the thing where, let's face it, most venture capital goes in people, technology, but a lot of it's gone in marketing. So the question is, how do you do this, but in the most efficient and optimal way? And not thinking you need a plan where you've got to throw millions of pounds at something, as you know. It's starting small. But so now, you've uploaded yourself, your context, you've now uploaded a plan, okay? Your product, what it is, how you want to go to market, what you wanted to do. Now you're asking it, okay, based on that and all your access to this knowledge, how do I start? How do I take that first step? How do I go to market? How do I get my first customer? Do I prototype?
And right now, all of these processes we're already going through now, OpenAI, you can use it to do all
You can
this.
use, this is the other thing people get confused with, okay? You can use any AI. But the issue is try and use one. Because if you use lots of them, now you might use different ones to do sort of make images or video, but in terms of the day-to-day, try and use one because
You'll have all your data.
it's got memory now.
Right.
So it's building this context and memory over time.
Because if I want to download all of my thinking all of my brain into one AI, and then all these other AIs plug into it later.
So that's where the world's going to go. So people now worrying about SEO and the internet, the internet's going away. So your AI will know everything about you. It'll know your heartbeat, your mood. It'll know your literally what you need for the barbecue at the weekend, what kind of barbie. It'll go off and talk to corporate AIs. There's not going to be no internet anymore. So you've got to think about...
They'll bring it to you based on your
everything about
moves. You need to take vitamin C today. Here's a couple of links, sort of.
Well, it won't even be links. It'll go and talk to loads of 455,000 supplement AIs that sell supplements, and it'll do a deal. And if you're giving it authority to actually transact, it'll buy it for you.
Right.
So again, with AI, when you're looking at what your dream and starting a business, this is the other mistake people make. Don't perceive the market and the world you're going to be playing in as it is today. It's about to change dramatically.
Interesting, yeah. Content marketing, people hear it all the time. So AI, and things like what Google have done with Vimo 3, is it Vimo 3? That you can literally come up with your marketing campaigns as well with these. So they can literally come up with your physical imagery.
You can almost make a TV advert quality video these days with audio. It costs a bit of money to do that, but the day is coming. And if creative agencies, it's your background, you can now create any content. You can conjure anything that's in your head into reality. Yep. So I'm quite creative in a way. I wave my arms around a lot, but I'm rubbish at drawing, right? But now I can have an idea, a concept, a video, an image in my head, and I can literally use one of the many platforms to conjure that into reality.
If I was starting a new agency today, I think the prompts is where the value is. So you need to tell these things, the ideas, for it to really make something totally unique. Number 4, what's next?
So it's the product.
And by the way, a lot of this content and decision and ideas can help you come up with a product now. Some people might come up with a product first. Actually, you might want to go through this process first.
Yeah, so I would have probably put this here, actually. So product or the service. So this is the key to it. Now, often you've got a great idea of what the product or service is. Now, again, when you're starting out in business, people can be locked into what they think the product or service should be. So what you can do you've got your context, you've got your ideas, you've got your strategy, you've now done a bit of market testing maybe, even if it's virtual market testing with virtual personas, you can now start to test, well, actually, is there a market for my product? And you have this thing called product market fit. And what you have to do is either change the product or change the market you're kind of going after. And eventually they align, and that helps you take your product to market. So with AI, you've now got the opportunity to, and this goes from physical product. I mean, I've got a 3D printer at home. I don't know if you've got one.
Yeah.
I've got my
I haven't got one.
3D printer. I love it. And I can have an idea. I can doodle it, and there are platforms you can doodle. It'll turn it into a 2D image. I can turn it into a 3D image. I can turn it into a CAD drawing, and I can print the thing. Literally, you could not do this 6 months ago, a year ago. Prototype something, a physical product. And
again,
prototype.
This is such an important thing for you guys listening. So many people come to me and say they want to launch a shoe brand or a t-shirt brand, or you can make 1 or 2 now as samples to even sell online as a pre-order, for example, right?
So then you've got other products, the more sort of knowledge products. And that's then a question of creating lots of different versions of it and testing it and trialing it and finding the people you want to sell to. And as we all know, people are afraid of doing this, getting in front of them and getting feedback.
Totally. Right, number 5, what's next?
So number 5, so you've now got your product or service, you're using AIs to create decks and collateral and documentation. So now you're starting a business. And now what AI is fantastic at is automation. So now you've got to ask yourself, what are the 10 or 20 things I need to do every day or every week, okay? And this is what I do in my business is automation. So I look at it as there are 3 vectors, right? Look at it like this. Variability, something which you do lots of different things all the time. Velocity, like lots of data. And then you've got value, something really, really high value. So you won't use an AI, say, call agent to try and call somebody and sell them a very expensive product, okay? But something that's kind of low value, you will. If there's a huge amount of data, you'll use artificial intelligence. If there isn't, you can use yourself or humans. And if it's variable, you're doing lots of different things. AI is not very good at that. It likes simple workflows. So if you've got low velocity, you've got reasonably low to mid value, and it's not too variable, AI can do it for you. If you're the opposite, you should do it. And everything in the middle, which is a growing number of things, because the AI is getting better all the time, is where you augment yourself. So look at, what do I need to do? What is the workflow? What is the process? And then automate. And this is the key to it.
This, by the way, is probably one of the biggest mistakes people make in business before AI. They don't make enough processes. They make it reliant on them. And then when they're on holiday, the business doesn't work anymore.
Or you hire somebody, they learn how to get things done. And for whatever reason, they leave and you've got to start again.
Right. Yeah.
So now you don't. The beauty is these people, the AIs, they never leave.
And for making an automated system, is there a type of prompt you'd recommend? I think for a lot of people, let's say, for example, I work with a brand called High Level. They automate your email marketing and stuff like that. So there's tools out there that are already doing some of this automation for you. But give me an example of an automation that AI would do as a practical prompt.
So there are different types of automation. Okay, so you mentioned one there, where the place to start is the AI that your existing application providers or SaaS providers, software as a service providers, are providing. So they're trying to add AI to everything, okay? So start there and use that because you're used to using it. The problem is, Simon, is that once everybody's using the AI within the existing applications, it's like having spell check. Everyone's got the same thing. So how do you differentiate? And you differentiate by doing what you said is you write down literally, no matter how boring you might find it, your processes, your workflows, step by step, and you look for AIs, or you can build AI. So you can now take applications and take AIs and you can knit them together. You can use different platforms, or lots of them, to bolt together workflows and processes. So write me this, and then once you've written it, draft me an email and put the email in my drafts, okay? Managing your inbox. Lots of things you can do, but don't try and be too clever, okay? I always say, start with the things where AI is good, it's reliable, and it works, and where there's a return on that investment for you in terms of time or money. You can do things which are very clever, like video production, for example, and the tech's there, but it's not quite there yet, but you're going to learn over time. So focus and automate on the things that are the most mundane, the most repetitive, that you don't have to do. And that frees you up and your team to add more value. So number 6 really is about, this is your creative support. The point here really is to start thinking, okay, you've got your product, you've automated the process. It's now that iteration, that ongoing process of testing your product, testing your marketing, talking to your customers, or talking to avatars of your customers. You can now set them up as AIs, essentially. Content, collateral, writing, and you're an expert at this. That constant iteration, which can wear people down or can become very expensive. So the archetypal example, I think, is copywriting. So no matter what you do, you have to write something. And it might be emails. You might not be very confident at writing emails. Now you can get help doing that. There's no need anymore to have any worry or concern or doubt about communications or writing anything. And lots of people are fearful of that. So creative marketing now becomes actually extremely powerful. But as you were saying, the key here is to learn how to use AI. You can have the best copywriter or the best business email writer or letter writer in the world on your desktop, at your fingertips. It's also creative empowerment, really. You might not be a creative, okay? You might not be very good at mathematics, but now you can be. So whatever you thought you weren't particularly good at, you now can be. And what this does, I think, it empowers people. It gives you the confidence.
This is why I think everyone can become an entrepreneur, because this whole AI world is now giving you all these tools. You don't even need to come up with the ideas anymore. And then the system will tell you how to do it. That's why I think the whole world is going to have to become an entrepreneur as well, because a lot of jobs are going to get taken away from people.
I think the gig economy is coming for all of us.
Yeah.
We've talked about this a lot.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
Organisations don't want employees anymore. They want people to be there for discrete projects. And to go on in life, whether it's your business or even your career, you've got to be an absolute monster, a killer at using this technology. Otherwise, you won't be able to differentiate yourself.
Yeah. 7. Let's keep going because it's blowing my mind.
So 7 now is the big one. So analytics. So now you're motoring, got your business, you feel empowered, you've got AIs helping you automate the mundane. But what it's really about is, and this can be analytics, metrics, how much money you make, whatever you want to, and insights as well. So the way I look at this is like this. Imagine you're a soldier looking across the field, it's dark, and then suddenly someone gives you night vision. You look across that field and you can see things now that they can't. That gives you a competitive advantage, and it means you can react to it. The thing is, you can now use all the data you have. I don't care if you've got a corner shop, I don't care if you've got a one-man person, you're doing jet washing people's drives. You can now look at data across an area, your customers, where they are, how much they earn, what you should be doing, how your website's working or isn't, as the case may be. Use AI to give you your night vision into data. And that's competitive advantage. And this now is something that only big companies could do. Anyone could do it now.
So just as a business example, so when we bought the house we're in now, my wife looked at all the crime rates in different areas and worked out that this street was the lowest crime street in Britain, one of the lowest crime streets in Britain. And that made her want to buy the house.
Right.
Now, I don't see anybody, say, for example, in the property industry, giving those sorts of insights into when you buy a property. They're like, house is nice, maybe the bedrooms are nicely done, the bathrooms are good. But if you could get AI to tell you that the crime rate and you are selling houses in the lowest crime rate location, for example, in Britain, you can start to use these insights and analytics to be a completely different type of business.
The thing is, the existing business owners often, they're doing what they do the way they've always done it.
And they're stuck in their ways.
And they're using AI to try and protect what they've been doing for the last 10 to 50 years or even longer. Now there's an opportunity just to look at things completely differently and don't just tweak around the edges what everyone else is doing. Just think, how do I build an AI-first business? Like you just said there. You might find in property websites, they could do this, but they're not doing it very, very well.
Yeah.
So always think AI first.
Every single business can be disrupted even if you just use this part of this video and got every single business that already exists and started thinking about it with AI analytics first, you could probably beat most companies today.
And what's amazing is, this is what blows my mind. We've done this for a customer in the healthcare sector. So you've got the known knowns, things you know you need to know, and you kind of know you learn it, okay? Then you've got the known unknowns, things you need to go and look at and research. But AI is fantastic at the unknown unknowns, okay? You can just give it a data set and say, based on everything you know about me, based on my plan, based on how things are going, just tell me something I don't know. And it will look at the data and say, did you know that these customers are buying this if you do this this many times? I never knew that. And then you can double down on it.
Okay, number 8.
Big one. So this is the kind of thing that a lot of people look for, people reach out to you for. So you've got your business, it's going, you've got your analytics, you're selling things. But now what? It's that confidence, imposter syndrome sometimes when you start to do well, the mentor, the support. And people think that I've got all the answers, right? I don't. I use my AI as my own infinitely patient mentor and also sidekick. And the beauty of these things is they're never going to second guess you. They're never going to judge you.
Where does the data source come from, the mentoring? Because that's, by the way, why I built my app, because I want people to know it's come from me. But where does the data...
So yours is a great example. So your app is you. So you can now mentor as Simon Squibb. But what you've done here, going from 1 to 7, think of the amount of data this AI has now got. Now, this is your business. At the same time, I mean, mine's got my ECG. So you're giving it data about your business, but also about your personal life. I talk to about, some personal things sometimes, just ideas, what do you think about this, or the children, or how do I get my kids for the GCSEs?
It's like a secret diary. I want to read it now. I want to read all your prompts or your questions. You don't want to read it.
You definitely don't.
Like, no, you don't
So all that context about you is now, okay, well, given the support. And don't forget, this has got access to all human knowledge about most subjects. So again, when you go through all of this, AI can change your life, but don't completely cognitively offload.
Right.
You've got to be using the wetware in our heads. But with mentoring, though, it's like any mentoring, is that it's really about the context, asking it questions. And then, like any mentor, you just said there, I've seen that as well, is, you don't just run off and go and do whatever is said. You're taking in data and information, and the mentor might give lots of ideas, and you can apply analytics and insight to it to actually check what the mentor's doing. You can actually use, I've done this quite a lot, use 2 different AIs. So say,
to see what they say.
Here's the context.
Grok versus...
Yeah, no, you can't give
AIs.
all this context maybe, but you can give it some ideas and say, what do you think about this advice or this, as you set it up as a mentor.
So number 9, what's next?
So number 9 is now, it's the innovation, isn't it? People talk about AI that's out there, and it is, and it's dial-up internet, okay? It's going to get a lot better. But now, with this technology is moving very, very quickly, I always say we're living in an exponential world now, but people are still thinking in a linear fashion. So if you can just change your mindset, actually, it'll make a big difference. But then use this then to say, okay, my product's doing this, and it might be doing, 2, 3, 5, 10 grand a month already, whatever it is. Do I grow that business? Do I tweak it? Can I innovate? How do I develop it? Or do I start another business? And it might be completely different, but it might be adjacent as well. So start to use it to sort of innovate as well, because one thing you can't do in the world in which we're living in very, very soon is rest on your laurels and stop. You've always have to keep moving. I gave a talk to my daughter's business studies class, A-level students and BTEC in the UK. They're all about 17. Whole class. I said, who's using AI? And most people put their hand up. I said, well, what for? Talking to your friends, having a laugh. They all kept their hand up. Who's created an image? One person puts a hand up.
Wow.
Probably my daughter, actually. Who's created a video? Nobody.
Right.
So very quickly, the skill set in AI drops off very quickly.
You just got to jump on and do it.
Yeah, you've got to become an absolute expert.
I also think with the innovation thing, I would tell everybody that they should imagine a world where everything you think is normal no longer exists. So, for example, people think websites are going to be around forever. I'm already seeing where straight away people are just going straight on TikTok Shop and selling. We can already see this, right? They don't have a website. They go on TikTok Shop and they sell on TikTok Shop. There's no website. So I think people need to realize how much change is about to happen. And you can start imagine, write your own like crazy new world and build a business around it. So what's the last one? What do we not want to miss out on?
So the last one really is, so your business starts to grow. I always say use AI, first of all, personally. You use it to be an expert yourself. In your organization, you start to use it to do all these things, especially this one here, which is automate. But the last one really is about an optimal organization, AI-first organization, and productivity. In my business, we have our strapline is this: grow your workforce, not your payroll. So here you can have, it's the infinite team.
What's the name of your business, by the way? Just a quick plug.
Implement AI.
I've just invested in his business, so just disclaimer there. I invested in it because it's brilliant, and I will put a link down below if anyone wants to find out more.
So we implement AI, but this is the infinite team. Okay, you can now, it'll just be you. But once you know what you're doing, you've done the validation, you've got the plan, you've automated, you've tested it, done the analytics. You've got the mentoring support, the confidence. You know how to innovate. Now it's a question of scaling up, and when you scale up, most businesses have the issue of as your revenue grows, your costs just go with it. In the worst case, your costs actually they increase.
Yeah.
In AI,
most people are raising money because their costs are more than
it's doing that, isn't it? In AI, you want to basically disengage the two, so your costs hardly move, especially people, but your revenue grows, and that gap in the middle is profit, dividends, wealth creation.
Yeah. So if I want to be more productive, let's take my business, what I'm doing. What would I do? How would I be more productive?
So I guarantee, you said it actually, I'd guarantee even if we sat down together and went through everything you do and you wrote down literally the processes, the workflows, and you look at, you say, where in there can I use this technology today, or it's nearly there in, say, 6 months. Where can you say to automate some steps? Now, you don't want to if you've got 10 steps, say, you don't want to automate 1 and 10 because there's all humans in the loop in the middle. You want to automate 1 to 3, 3 to 7, 7 to 10. But try and automate as many steps in workflows as you can. And the other point is, which you might find if you look at your businesses, is don't just try and automate and everything the way you're doing it today. So I'll give you an example. So we had a recruitment company. They recruit builders, joiners, bricklayers, roofers for construction companies. They've got 200,000 people in their database. Got a room of about 10 people making calls all day. Are you available for work? Only cover 5,000. Our AI made 3,000 phone calls in 3 hours, contacted 500 people and found 50 to book work.
Wow.
But they would never think like that because they've never seen it.
And yet the existing system works as far as they're concerned on
so
that.
Once you understand all of this, you've got to start thinking about productivity-wise, how do you use AI in ways that other people aren't?
When I come to productivity, I always there's some tools aren't there yet. By the way, there's just this tube ad where the company did
that. Yeah, I'm not going to mention the name, but I think that's the wrong way of going.
Yeah, I mean, but it was basically the tube ad was... Don't hire humans. And I was about to say it. And I think it's their ad that got in my head. That is just kind of a scary point around this, isn't it? Because productivity does, like you say, doesn't increase cost, but increases your revenue. So more people need to do this so that as they don't get hired coming out of university for this, right?
Because we said it before, the gig economy is coming for all of us.
Yeah.
So if you're not being hired, you've got to find a way of working for yourself.
Hire yourself. And you have to. And I know it feels scary, but if you learn all of this stuff, if you apply it, even one of these things, get deep into understanding one of these things, then you won't need someone to hire you. You'll have your own business and someone will want to hire you because you know how to do one of these things.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you can do all of this, even if you end up working for somebody for a period of time, you are going to find yourself in gainful employment.
Yeah, we have to save humanity. And this is one way, give them the tools to have a better life. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. We're now off to have some chicken, but you can subscribe to this channel if you want to learn more business for free. Thanks for listening.